Hey guys, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso, back with a brand new video. We're only just a little over a week away before Super Bowl 56, where we have the Los Angeles Rams take on the Cincinnati Bengals in what should be a really nice and very likable team matchup between two teams that are looking to win for a very, very long time. But I'm not here to talk about that Super Bowl. I'm here to talk about, Super Bowl 51. Now, for those that don't know, I actually didn't become a huge football fan until the age of 15. I mean, I was always very aware of it. I followed it, but not to even close to the level that I was when I was 15 years old. And at that time, I was also getting into Halls of Fames. I was also getting into, I was going into a new school. And, at that time, I was also trying to look for, like, a bit of a team of my own. Like, I always did follow the Giants and the Jets, and I always do have them to a closer amount into my heart. But at the same time, I also wanted something sort of fresh. I needed something sort of to really put in for myself as, something unique for myself. Because I've always saw myself as a very unique individual. And, I've always wanted to be with a team, in a sense, even if it wasn't never my own team. I want to be with something that was going to truly, be something unique to myself. And, as the years went by, it was 2015. I thought it could be the Eagles, and they didn't really do as well as I would have hoped. And then, I was thinking the Rams potentially, and I still like the Rams. Since they moved to LA, I thought they'd be pretty interesting to pay attention to. But then the Falcons started getting really big, and, they made the Super Bowl, and they lost after being up 20-3, and there was a lot of things that were going on during that time. I had, one of the athletic trainer, Joe, I forgot his last name, from St. John the Baptist. He said that his son was a huge Falcons fan, and he wanted to see the team win. And, I was happy that the Patriots came back down 25 to me. I thought it was an amazing game. But, I also kind of felt for, some of those people down there, and how quickly they were able to turn on this team. How quickly they were able to turn on a team. And, like, this is when the blue 3-1 lead memes really got very big. And seeing the 20-3, like, it was so sad for that whole fan base. Because these fans now, as a result, are kind of a little afraid to really speak up for themselves in many instances, because they constantly feel like they're going to be losing. And that turns to Matt Ryan in particular. And when I saw Matt Ryan, I saw a guy who, I didn't really know much about him during that time. I didn't really know much about the Falcons compared to some of the other teams I followed. And, I looked very deeply at his numbers. I'm saying, oh, wow, he might have had one of the most underrated MVP seasons ever. And I looked throughout his entire career, and I said, wow, this guy was underrated for his entire time. And even though the team lost Super Bowl, yeah, he may have had the fumble, but at the same time, he played better than Brady in that game even. He had the better passer rating. He had the better numbers. He had better everything. And, it was bad coaching, everything. And, yeah, the team lost, but it wasn't because of him. And so I really felt for the guy. And I realized that sense of human in him, like that real sense of despair, that sense of feeling like a normal person. He never was the most lavish. He never spoke his mind a lot. He never really was very open about things. He seemed kind of quiet on the outside. He wasn't really a big speaker. He wasn't in many commercials. But he was always very underrated. And I really sat back and said, wow, this guy is very underrated. I'm going to stick with this guy a little bit. And sure, that's what I did. The last 5 years, I mean, I've become one of his biggest fans as a result. Because I felt for him during that moment. I felt for his fans during that moment. I felt for everyone during that moment. I also felt the way that people were going up against them. I felt for the way that how often so many of us as a society go after anyone that loses so aggressively. And I also see the dichotomy and just see how often, like, even if the team were to win the Super Bowl, I still don't think that they would have truly embraced him. Because I think a lot of the fan base is still with Michael Vick because he was so much athletic and because he was so unique. With Ryan, even though you never got that as a result, because he seemed so plain, he was very easy for others to just miss out on. But I think because of that, he kind of feels more real to me. He feels more genuine to me. He truly feels more impressive in a sense to me. Because when I look at Matt Ryan, I see someone that has broke the passing record the last 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years. A guy that, yes, he's had Julio Jones, but his O-lines for the most part have been pretty subpar. His defenses have not been that good for the most part of his career. The special teams is now doing fine, but, you know, there could be better. I always see someone that never had the right situation, but still managed to make the most of it. Thanks, Dave, for the $5. I really appreciate that. But I always just see Ryan, and I just felt bad for this guy. That, you know, he was just getting lambasted by so many, and I say, wow, this guy's had great seasons over the years, and I just stuck with him still. In 2017, he had another great season. I mean, PFF named him as part of their All-Pro team. 2018 had a monster season. Wasn't even nominated to the Pro Bowl despite having better numbers than people that already made it there. And he just always was so underrated. Like, even 2019, he was underrated. 2020, like, he was the best part of that team. 2021 was definitely a bit of a down season, but even then, you know, he made the best of a bad situation. He still had some really great games. And I look at this guy and I say, you know, he might make the Hall of Fame. And I was thinking about that for a while. I was thinking about that ever since I just really thought of it. And I really want to see him make it. I think he might actually will, but I just don't know. It's knowing how things are. It's always about the championships. And that just, it always kind of drags me down because I always feel like, you know, oh, he lost. That's his legacy. It's a little more complex than that. I feel like that doesn't really tell the whole story. I know it's very easy to just say the quarterback, but understand it's a whole team that loses, a whole team that wins. I know a lot of people just think of the quarterback, but it's way more nuanced than that. It's way more complex than that. And I feel like people need to look way more than just the championships because, like, even in games where they've lost, he's still played great. I think people need to also put that into really big perspective. I wanted to show you a thread by Falcons Kingdom that showed his entire legacy and showed how great he has been. But there's also the Twitter user, Ryan Michael, who is easily the most active guy for anyone that wants to see Matt Ryan make the Hall of Fame. I want to see Matt Ryan change teams. I really do. But the issue is that with his contract, he's kind of stuck with the Falcons for at least another year, even though I think he'd be perfect for a team like the Packers or the Buccaneers or the Steelers. I just can't see it. Here's Ryan Michael. NFL touchdown pass leaders from 2016 to 2019. Matt Ryan is tied with Tom Brady, and just below him are Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. And mind you, Matt Ryan played less games in the postseason. He was that dominant during that stretch. Ryan is also number 7 in terms of pass leaders the last 2 years from 2017 to 2018. This is a wild Falcon stat. From 2012 to 2019, Matt Ryan has averaged 4,655 yards per carry in every 16 games while completing 67.3% of his passes. Wait, what? That's not a career high. That's his average over an 8-year stretch. That's incredible also. Like, Matt Ryan, I've always seen as one of the most underrated players, not just quarterbacks, but players of all time in the NFL. He is someone that no one has ever really thought of as an all-time great, but because he's always done it such under the radar, he never was really as popular with a lot of fans because a lot of them are still with Vic. But again, I think that also makes him even better. I think that makes him stronger in a sense. I think that makes him more impressive. Like, it's under the radar, And yeah, maybe not been the flashiest, but he always did whatever he could to win for his team. Matt Ryan's 2016 NFC Championship ring was more impressive and more difficult to attain than the majority of the 55 Super Bowl ring scenes. That is correct. That is important to understand. A lot of the performances in a lot of games, like there are sometimes guys that win a Super Bowl, but they aren't as impressive as someone's time in a conference championship game. That is also true. That is also very true for a lot of people. Another thing, I'm going to show you something else from Ryan Michael that showed Matt Ryan's Hall of Fame case. We'll probably end up using a Matt Ryan stat. Trying to just pull it up, guys. Sorry. Ryan Michael also lists Matt Ryan as the 24th greatest quarterback in NFL history from 1920 to 2020. He's above Russell Wilson, but he's below Ben Roethlisberger. He's also above Phillip Rivers, and he's above guys that are already in the Hall of Fame, like Kurt Warner, Bobby Lane, Len Dawson, Terry Bradshaw, Ken Stabler, Troy Aikman, Joe Namath, and Bob Greasy. That's impressive. That's pretty huge. And I do trust, and I definitely do trust Ryan Michael for how he is. I trust his numbers, and I trust his stats. And it's not just because I agree with him. It's because, you know, he is very on top with this. And, you know, listen, if he says it, I'm going to believe it because that's how I've been with him. Is he a little hyperbolic? A little bit, but still. And this, he listed as, this is his biggest chart for Matt Ryan's Hall of Fame case. Matt Ryan statistic ranking and records, chart by Ryan Michael. 119.9 passer rating in 2016, which is the first in NFL history, all-time regular season plus postseason, a minimum of 500 passing attempts. 401 career touchdowns, and 330, that's total touchdowns, 336. I know that people say Julio Jones. A lot of them are not from Jones. And that includes passing, rushing, receiving, and that includes the postseason. He has 120 wins as a starting quarterback, which is more than both Johnny Unitas and Joe Montana. He also has as many career touchdowns on the road as Dan Marino. I know a lot of people say that he's a dome quarterback and everything. Well, he's had more touchdowns on the road, so what does that tell you? His 2008 rookie season was third in total QBR, third NYA, third in game-winning drives, fourth in DVOAs, fourth in ANYNAs, and then fifth in total sack percentage. In 2016, yeah, he will. But at the same time, I think a lot of people, I think it's a little bit more complex than that. But I think it's way more nuanced than just that. And also, the passer rating in the career, it was highest in the Super Bowl. And it's also the highest of the last 31 years. He also had 11 straight 4,000 total yard seasons from 2011 to 2021. That's the second highest by anyone, just behind Drew Brees for consecutive. He's also had a higher QBR than Aaron Rodgers in 8 of his 14 NFL seasons in 2018, 2010, 2013, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. Also, he's had more passing yards for the Falcons than Peyton Manning did for the Colts. Now, granted, to be fair, that's also because it's the 2010s compared to 2000, but still, I digress. He's also had #1 finishes in passer rating, total QBR, passing DVOA, completions twice, completion percentage, touchdown percentage, yards per attempt, yards per catch, any yards per catch, no yards per catch, any yards per catch, game-winning drives, and then fourth quarter comebacks. He's also #1 in NFL history from his 9.43 yards per attempt, which is a minimum of 500 attempts, including the postseason. And for the 2 losses he had in Super Bowl 51 and the 2012 NFC Championship game, he had a passer rating of 125, 72.3%, 10.5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. Pretty massive numbers, even on a losing end. And for those Falcons teams in 2016, that was 27th points per game surrender in 2016, which was the lowest ranking in NFL history to win 11 regular season games or an NFC conference championship game. So even when their offense was great, their defense was their Achilles heel for the most of these times. In the last 12 straight seasons, he's been top 10 in pass completions in every single season from 2010 to 2011. And he's had 7 seasons ranked top 6 in total QBR. From 2016, he was first. 2008, his rookie season, was third. His third season, he was third. Fourth, fifth. 2017, the year after, fifth. 2012, sixth. And 2013, sixth. He's also had 33 career fourth quarter comebacks, which is more than Elway, Joe Montana, and Aaron Rodgers. And 42 more game-winning drives, which is more than Elway, Montana, and Rodgers. Since 2010, he's had #1 in the NFL in pass completions, as well as #1 in the NFL in passing yards. And through a player's first 14 seasons, he's #1 all-time in pass completions and #1 all-time in passing yards. That alone, in my opinion, shows that Matt Ryan, Mr. Matthew Thomas Ryan, has been one of, if not the most underrated QB of the last 20 years. I would argue he's one of the most underrated players. Never always kept his mouth shut. Never really always did his job. Always kept it clean. Never really made it about himself. He never was a drama guy. He was never a big media guy. He was always very quiet, but he was always someone that you could always rely upon. And even though he never was as super popular with others because he was never seen as flashy or may not have been seen as special, at the end of the day, he did it better than the majority of the guys. And even through here, he even did it better than some guys that are already inducted and some guys that have already won more. That alone, showing all of this, shows that Matt Ryan is one of my favorite players, and he has always been one of my favorite players ever since he lost that Super Bowl, because it showed me that it's way more than just winning a championship that makes you a great player. It shows me that you could truly be appreciated for what you did, even if others at your time will not. And also it showed me that there's a real human aspect to him, and it also shows that he still has moved on from it. That many of the fans haven't, a lot of the media hasn't, but he has. And that shows discipline and also shows character. Because this man has true character. This man truly cares about his game. He truly cares about others, and he truly wants to help others out. I'm always going to support this guy, whether he makes it or not. And if it wasn't for that Super Bowl case, not only would I become one of his biggest fans, it's also a big reason as to why I want to even become a Hall of Fame voter in the first place. Because I saw there were issues in the system after he lost, and I wanted to change them. And, you know, even though it was sad that he lost the Super Bowl, in the end, yeah, he belonged on a winning team. He belonged on a team that had a better coach. He belonged on a team that had a better defense. As simple as that. He's very similar to it. And, you know, I understand it's more than just that. It's also the eye test, but at the end of the day, he's always been someone that is just very underrated, someone that not many have truly appreciated, and I just hope that more and more give him recognition when he's gone from playing. Another thing too, I also got this for my parents for Christmas. I got a signed signature and everything, because they knew how much I really liked him. I went to Atlanta back in 2018 when my dad was hosting the history fair. And big reason why I even came there, and because he knew I liked Matt Ryan, actually. So, yeah, I would love to live in the area. I think it's a really nice, clean area, and I think, you know, I think a lot of the fans get a bad rep. I mean, rightfully so in some areas, but at the same time, I feel like it's okay to speak out about what you truly believe in when it comes to this, because you truly have a lot of great players and people in general that deserve a better look. Of course, you know, Jeff Van Note, Tommy Nobis, George Coons, Jesse Tuggle, Mike Ken, and several others as well. But Matt Ryan is the greatest player in your franchise's history, and I'm going to treat it like it, whether others are going to really admit it or not. And with everything I've just said, I think it's even more proof that he is so underrated, and whether he makes it or not, which I hope he does, I'm always going to truly appreciate it. And no, David, I'm actually not a Falcons fan. I'm actually a Giants fan. I just really cling to with Matt Ryan a bit more because I kind of feel for him. I just, like I said, I see him as more human, and I just feel like he deserves better. And I already saw the Giants win a couple championships, and, you know, I kind of attract more to the ones that are more the underdogs. I've just always been that way. I always have that softness, that soft gentleness about myself that I kind of feel pity for certain individuals. Whether or not they feel pity or not, that's besides the point. Whether I feel pity for them is what is the more important aspect. And yeah, I'm always going to support this guy. I'm always going to be one of his biggest fans. And I want him to succeed in any chance he possibly can because the numbers show it. He truly deserves it. He deserves it for everything he's done throughout his entire career. And it's a shame that a lot of people don't give him that recognition because he truly has been so great in an era where so many quarterbacks have truly been great. And I just wish him the very best. I want him to be as good as he possibly can. I hope he plays till his 40s. I hope he becomes top 5 all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Period. I want him to do that because he truly deserves it. He truly deserves it with everything he's gone through. And, you know, he feels more genuine as a result. Now, does that make him the best ever? Yes. I truly think he is one of the very best ever to play the game. In an era where he has been great, no, I don't see him retiring with the Falcons. I think he's going to go with another team. In an era where it's dominated by great passing plays and great passing abilities, he's the one that's breaking those records. It's not Brady doing that. It wasn't Manning doing that. It wasn't even Roethlisberger or Ryan. It was Matt Ryan or Rodgers doing that. It was Matt Ryan. It was Matt Ryan that was breaking those records. He was the ones breaking those records. Other guys may have been those records, but he was the one breaking those records. He was the one breaking those records. So what do you have to say for that? It's not just championships, guys. It's everything else involved. It's everything else involved with the whole game, and that's truly what makes him special, whether or not voters want to admit it or not. Matt Ryan absolutely deserves to make the Hall of Fame. I know his career's not over, but with everything I just said, I think he truly does deserve it, with literally everything he's done, and what I think he will do with the rest of his time in the NFL, whether it's for the Falcons or a different team. But whether that's going to happen, he would be a good option for the 49ers, but I can't see it. Whether or not that happens or not, I'm going to be rooting for the guy until the very, very end of his career because of how the dignity and the respect he showed after that Super Bowl loss and how much I'm going to truly appreciate him because I know a lot of his fans from that team won't. And that is sad. It is very, very sad. But that's also how life is, but it's also good to have those people that are truly going to appreciate you even if the majority don't. And that, I think, is more important than having others just like you because you're for the team. And I'm liking someone who may have lost the Super Bowl, but he never lost his dignity. He never lost his drive. He never lost anything. Even people that win championships, oftentimes people forget about him. I mean, Buddy Parker won 2 championships and he's still not in the Hall of Fame. There are people that have broke barriers and they're still not in the Hall of Fame. There's many broadcasters and everything and they're not in the Hall of Fame. So, I don't know. I wanted to see him make it. I'm going to push this hard because if it wasn't for him, I would never want to go on this crusade in the first place. So, thank you, Matt Ryan. Even though you lost Super Bowl, it probably was the best for me because I never would have truly appreciated you for what you've done for the game itself. And I thank you for that because we all know it was not your fault. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this. Please leave a like on this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to Denny Sees 2 Media if you want to get notified for more. And as always, I'll see you next time. Have a great day, everyone. And yes, I would say Matt is a very precise quarterback. It's why his passer rating has been one of the best in the game. I absolutely believe he's precise. He's the definition of precise. He may not be the most flashy, but, you know, he's always been quality, whether people like to admit it or not. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your game.